10 biggest redemption in football. Most often, your favorites in the game do get some hard times. Times when it seems all hope is lost and that they're quickly losing their touch in the game. But also, often, we've seen some pretty impressive comebacks as things start to look good once again. Today, we've selected some of the most impressive comebacks in the history of football, and maybe we might end up convincing you to give your favorite who seems to be behind a second chance. Which better player to start off if not Harry Maguire, whose temporary setback had seemed to attract all forms of criticism from all angles. The fact that Manchester United had spent a mouth-watering sum to buy his services for the club made the matters worse. In 2019, Manchester United bought the player from Leicester City for a whopping £80 million, making him the most expensive defenders in the world at the time. And most certainly, certain high expectations were set for the player, which he didn't seem to be living up to for a while. All the challenge and threats that the player faced seem to have paid off remarkably, as it seems to have propelled the player into doing better in his recent appearances. He scored the first goal against Copenhagen, which gave Manchester United their first points in the ongoing Champions League, and has been performing really well in other games. The Champions League seems to be looking great for most Manchester team players, as Andre Onana also seems to have had quite a turnaround from his past performances. In the past, the goalkeeper seems to have lost his touch, making errors that have led to goals against his team. That's all in the past now, as he practically became a hero in the Champions League, making saves that have led to the team's success in the ongoing competition. He basically helped his team not to lose points in their match against Copenhagen. We look forward to seeing this newly found focus last longer. And this discussion won't be complete if we don't talk about David Beckham. Back in '98, this player got caught in the middle of a widespread hate campaign against him from both fans and his countrymen, following an error that he made that saw England kicked out of the World Cup tournament that year. It looked like there was no coming back for the young player back then. But all these formed the foundation that made the redemption that followed barely 3 years after most remarkable. The free kick awarded to him at the 11th hour 3 years later presented the right opportunity for him, and he was sure not to waste it. That iconic free kick saw the ball curve into the goalpost, earning a lot more points for his team, which qualified England for the 2002 World Cup. It also saw Beckham rise like a phoenix and overturn the hate into heroism. Ferran Torres seems to also be rising out of the ashes like a phoenix too, as he tries to find his place in Barcelona once more. Removing his recent performances, I guess his club might have found a way to kick him out of the team, as they were already looking to. But somehow, the player seemed to have found his charm, and is back once more, stealing the spotlight in recent games. The player has recorded 6 goals in 624 minutes, or you can just say even 7 games. If he continues to build on himself at this rate, he might become indispensable in the near future. It really does seem that criticisms serve as a good push to these players when it comes to pushing them to find the best in them and make good use of it. The same can be said for João Felix. At some point, he was once considered one of the most promising young players in the world. In 2019, he became the most expensive teenager in history when he moved from Benfica to Atletico Madrid. He became the most expensive teenager in history when he moved from Benfica to Atletico Madrid for £126 million. He was expected to become a key player for the club, but he struggled to adapt to La Liga and was often criticized for his performances. But it seemed all the young man needed was a little change and push for things to start changing for the better. When he was loaned to Chelsea for the 2022-23 season, he started showing potential, and now that he's with Barcelona, he's been performing remarkably, quickly climbing to the status of one of the most important players in the club. His fate seems to be related to what he had with Antoine Griezmann, but somehow in reverse. If not, one might have thought that maybe Barcelona had a magic wand that Atletico didn't know about. Griezmann's arrival at Barcelona was met with high expectations, given his stellar record at Atletico Madrid, where he had won the La Liga title, Europa League, and UEFA Super Cup. However, the transition to Barcelona's playing style and the pressure of sharing the spotlight with Lionel Messi proved difficult, and he failed to replicate the goal-scoring prowess that had defined his previous years. Antoine Griezmann's performance significantly improved after returning to Atletico Madrid from Barcelona. It seemed he regained his confidence and creativity, demonstrating his ability to contribute to the team's success. In the last season, he had an amazing 32 goals and 38 appearances in La Liga and has remained at the top ever since. I guess you have to just find where your muse lies and roll with it. As we move to England, Darwin Núñez seems to be having a blast after a not-so-exciting introduction into the Premier League last season. It seemed fans set some high expectations for the player, which he wasn't able to fit into at the moment. But it seems that in this season, he's been able to find that magic in the game. He was able to score the 2 goals that turned things around for Liverpool against Newcastle. Maybe the Núñez will stick to his found energy and climb his way all the way to the top. His performance has been really promising this season, as he's been able to score 8 goals in what's the equivalent of 5.5 games. Another great redemption story that we can't miss is from Miguel Almiron. For Miguel Almiron, the 2021-22 season was quite a challenging one, marked by inconsistent performances and a lack of goals. He was able to score only once throughout that season. He basically struggled to adapt to the Premier League's physicality and pace, and his decision-making was often questionable. This led to a period of frustration for both the players and the fans. In the 2022-23 season, however, things started changing for the better as Almiron showed a significant improvement in his form. He became more confident and aggressive, and his decision-making improved considerably. He also started to score goals more regularly, finishing the season with 13 goals in 34 games in the season. The lesson here is that being down doesn't really mean that one will stay down when the effort is made to get right back up. And of course, this story can't be complete if we don't talk about the giant stride by Marcus Rashford to get into the spotlight recently. We know how it was for him back in the 21 season, following his losses during that period. Fans were really on his neck to perform better. He had major setbacks in both the Europa League and the Europe finals, which made many think the player might have lost his touch in the game. But if we've learned anything from the beginning of this video, it'll be that it might always be too early to cancel a player totally. In the 2022-23 season, Marcus Rashford brought back a side of him that fans thought had been lost back into the game, which earned him 41 goals and 56 appearances during the season. What an insane improvement! And that's not just a thought from my angle. He was crowned Manchester United Player of the Year while winning 3 Player of the Month awards in the Premier League. Watching players like Rashford is what keeps the fire burning in fans and also the necessary push for others to do better. Let's also take a look at what Vini Jr. was able to do for himself before we close this list for this video. Vinicius Jr.'s fate is a testament to his talent, work ethic, resilience, and the power of perseverance. Once considered a raw and inconsistent talent, Vinicius has transformed himself into one of the most exciting and effective young players in the league. We can all remember that Benzema didn't want him handling the ball on the field because of how badly he performed initially, but he has grown to become one of the most valuable assets in Real Madrid. Vinicius Jr. came into the scene as a teenager with Real Madrid, showcasing his incredible pace, dribbling ability, and knack for scoring goals. However, things weren't always rosy for him. He was also constantly criticized for his inconsistency, finishing, and decision-making. In his first 2 seasons at the club, he scored just 11 goals in all competitions. In the 2021-22 season, Vinicius began to show signs of improvement. He worked hard on his finishing and decision-making, and his overall contribution to the team increased. He scored 17 goals in all competitions, including the winning goal in the UEFA Champions League final against Liverpool. Listening to these stories provides some interesting life lessons for everyone. When you're down, all you might just need is to believe in yourself and take the right steps towards redemption. Sure, we'll be seeing more stories like this. Till then, that'll be all for this video, and we'll see you in the next one.